Well, good day my friends, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. We are coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, and we are at the Grand Ole Opry. Daze with Jordan the Lion, and you all, it begins right now. Yes, I have never been to this Grand Ole Opry. Kind of excited to look around, but really my focus today was to show you guys some amazing Nashville country history that you can see for free. So we probably actually won't even go in the Opry. What I want to show you is supposedly for free around back. Now, the Opry originally was, a radio broadcast on Saturday nights that would come from the Ryman Auditorium. In 1974, they decided to quit doing it from the Ryman and build this here, which is I always call it the new Opry, but it is the Opry that I think most people consider Roy Acuff built. Look at this on the guitar, it says Grand Ole Opry. Because Roy Acuff was known as the backbone of country music. He was the backbone of the Opry. He was the king of country music, the king of the hillbilly music, really did everything. And when I say it was the house he built, it was quite literally almost. He closed down the Ryman on its very last night, and then the very next day started out the show here performing Wabash Cannonball, Smoky Mountain Boys, with Richard Nixon in attendance. And Roy Acuff ended up teaching President Nixon how to do the yo-yo here. President Nixon played the piano, and Roy Acuff would actually have the first dressing room closest to the stage from the time it opened in '74 till he died. For those of you who don't know who Roy Acuff was, other than all the descriptions I gave you, to tell you how well respected he was, Porter Wagner once said, when Roy Acuff walked in a room, you stood up, because he just had this charisma that made you want to stand up for him, a respect. And Waylon Jennings once said, people call me a legend? Nah. He said, people like Roy Acuff, ERNEST Tubbs, Chet Atkins, those are the real legends. He said, certain men in this town that you call Mr. And he said, Mr. Roy Acuff, Mr. ERNEST Tubbs. So that tells you how well respected he was. And he was, pretty big because he owned one of the most famous and popular, successful publishing companies in the world, ACUFF Rose. Okay, so now you're wondering, what are we doing here if we're not going inside? Well, Roy Acuff was married in 1936 and his wife ran his entire business. She helped market him, trademark him, everything that made him successful, booked all of his gigs, and they were madly in love. And she unexpectedly died in 1981, and when she did, the Opry built Roy a home right here, and it's apparently available for free to go look at, and I think it's supposed to be open for tours as well. Actually, let's see who all's up here. I can see Dolly, a lot of modern stars. No Roy Acuff here, but if you go to the Ryman, they have a nice statue of him there. Here it is. Looks like it is, it's closed today, so we can't tour it, but they have a little plaque right here. And look how close it is. Right here, here's the Opry gift shop, and right on the other side is what we were just looking at. You can see the top of what we were looking at right there. So they built this house because Roy was pretty much here all the time anyway, and this way people could come visit the Opry and he could stand right out here on his porch and say hello. And God, he was beloved. People loved him. He actually wanted to be a baseball player as a kid, but his dad was a really good fiddle player, taught all the ACUFF kids how to play fiddle. And then Roy kind of put it down, started playing baseball, and then got sunstroke really bad. And when he recovered from that, he was only partially recovered, went out and played again, got it again bad, then went to Florida and got a really bad burn while fishing and realized that he had ruined his skin where he couldn't sweat anymore. So he turned back to the fiddle. So thank God for that. It says Roy Acuff, known as the king of country music, Reigned over the Grand Ole Opry for 50 years, ACUFF was known for his heartfelt, sincere style of country music. That's right, they said when he would play, he didn't have the greatest voice, but he would sing it so heartfelt that he could make you cry, and he would cry too. Said his hits included Pins and Needles, Beneath That Lonely Mound of Clay, Precious Jewel, The Wreck on the Highway, Fireball Mail, Wait for the Light to Shine, Two Different Worlds, and the Wabash Cannonball. For many years, he served as Master of Ceremonies and Ambassador to the Opry, and he was loved by fans from around the world. During his lifetime, ACUFF was inducted in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he received the Kennedy Center Honors and National Medal of Art and Lifetime Achievement Award. After ACUFF's wife Mildred died in 1981, the Opry provided Roy ACUFF with a home on the Opryland grounds from 1984 until his passing in 1992. ACUFF would often stand on the front stoop to greet Grand Ole Opry and Opryland theme park visitors, and he enjoyed being only paces away from his second home, the Opry stage. ACUFF's indelible legacy lives on that Grand Ole Opry in many ways, and his home continues to stand as a testament to his life and career well lived. So you can tell it looks like they're redoing the driveway here because it's all gravelled out and everything. But normally, from what I understand, and I'm kind of bummed, I didn't know this, didn't say online, but normally it's open for tours and you can walk through the house and there's memorabilia and things like that in there, but unfortunately it is not open. They owe him a lot though, man. This guy, you know, he was responsible for the success of Minnie Pearl when she was just getting started out. He knew how amazing she was going to be, and what they would do is basically perform at the Opry on Saturday, and then through the week all these performers would go off and tour throughout the week and then make their way back to the Opry for Saturday. So he was here every Saturday and he made her his opener, and so all week long she would go out and tour with him. This is even before like tour buses. This was like, he started in 1936. That's when he put out his first album, same year he married Mildred, and then got into the Opry, I believe, in around 40. So he was, you know, they loved him right away, had him back almost every week. So he would go out and perform all week, come back here, be Master of Ceremonies, and she'd do the same thing, go out and tour with him in cars with no air conditioning. Think of that. Came over to the side of the house. It's several stories tall. He could take this back stairwell. Looks like his parking was right over there. He had some water right there. I'll tell you guys a really funny Roy ACUFF story. I know I've told this before, but for those of you that haven't heard it, it's a really great one. Roy ACUFF, you know, he's so popular, he would buy property in town, and he bought one of the buildings right next to Tootsie's, which was, Tootsie's is a famous bar that everybody went to. Willie Nelson pretty much got his first writing job, songwriting job out of there, literally having drinks there. It was right behind the Ryman Auditorium, so people would just kind of slip out from the Ryman and go have a drink. And Roy bought the building right next door and ended up opening his museum, the Roy ACUFF Museum. Well, the second floor was unoccupied for a while, and George Jones decided he was going to open his own nightclub. And it was, you know, going to be a country bar and everything. It was called the Possum Holler. And they had several problems. Sue Brewer, famous for the Boar's Nest, was the manager there. They'd have several problems throughout the time that George was running his establishment there, but the real crux of it was when someone destroyed the bathroom on the second floor and blew up the pipes, and it ended up going down to Roy's museum. And Roy said, you know, that was the end of that. He said once there was some flooding that came into his museum, he told George, hey, you got to move out of here and find a new place to run your business. He said, oh, come on, Roy, you got to let me stay here. He goes, no, George, I can't be having turds floating around in my historical exhibits. Now, the other thing I was going to show you, I don't know why they took the sign down. I was a little confused by it. This tree right in front of Roy's place, that is a memorial tree. They used to have a big plaque here for that as well, for String Bean. String Bean was a beloved performer here, banjo player, and one night after he left doing the Opry, he went home and he and his wife were attacked by two men and killed in their home, and their home was ransacked and everything. It was a really sad story. He was beloved by everyone. So they planted this tree here that was in his honor. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're redoing the front here. Maybe they just took the sign out for now, but the sign normally was here, says that this was planted in Opryland on November 28th, 1973 as a living memorial to one of the finest comedian banjo players, Dave Stringbean Aikman, and his wife Estelle. Tragically lost their lives in a home invasion and burglary. This devastated the Opry community and legions of fans, and just a few weeks later the tree was planted in their honor. Stringbean came from a musical family and got the professional start in the early 1940s when he played banjo for Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys from 1943 to 45. He was also a talented baseball player, and he played in the touring team that Monroe traveled with at the time. By the 1950s, Stringbean was a major star at the Grand Ole Opry, well known for his spirited old-time frailing banjo style and signature stage wear, which were, I'll show you a picture of him, crazy pants. He was wearing little Jimmy Dickens pants. In the 1960s, Stringbean recorded several albums, and in 1969 he became a regular cast member on the hit program Hee Haw, along with fellow banjo player and close friend Louis Marshall Grandpa Jones, who sadly was the one that found him. Grandpa Jones lived right by him, right by the house that Stringbean and his wife lived in, and they were supposed to go fishing next morning, so he went to go get him to go fishing and found him. You can see they have some posters from the old history, and there's Minnie Pearl down there in the corner, right there. The Ryman. We'll check out the gift shop while we're here. Hello, Emmylou Harris. So of course you know the story of the Opry is you have to be invited. You can't just book it, you have to be invited by someone who's already a member. Here you can buy posters of different shows, different people are performed. But you get invited, and then if they like you, they make you a member, and then you can invite people. They do have a shirt in here I think I might get. This isn't it, but they have quite a Dolly Parton section here. Yeah, I think I gotta get a Hee Haw shirt. They have a couple different ones. They have like not unfolded or anything, but I found one, the last one in my size they have of this one. That's not a bad one though. Speaking of yo-yos, right on the exit, they sell yo-yos just like Roy. Roy was an avid yo-yoist. All right, we're gonna take off from here. I'm kind of bummed because I was really hoping to tour that, and I didn't know they were doing any renovations on it. So we'll have to come back in the future. Roy ACUFF was just, you know, he was the man. So I would love to see inside there, see how it was decorated and everything. But yeah, I've been to the Ryman. I've shown the stage, the original Opry stage there, and they have two different ways you can do it. You can either just go walk around and tour from the seats and that kind of stuff, or you can pay for a separate tour which takes you backstage. Here it's just all one, and since I really just wanted to show you the stage, and you know, they don't allow that without doing the whole tour, I want to keep this idea to keeping it free. So now I'm going to take you over to a vintage store that has a really amazing piece of history that you can check out for free as well. Hopefully they're open today, and it's a crazy story as to why it's there. Unfortunately, I was just passing through Nashville on this trip, so we'll take the tour another time. I just couldn't do it today. So where we're going next is actually not that far at all, just a couple of minutes away. It's right behind the Cooters, Dukes of Hazzard Museum, and the Willie Nelson Museum. So this establishment, the Troubadour, real country music. This used to be Ernest Tubb's Texas Troubadour Theater when he owned the record shop, really famous. Right across from Tootsie's was Ernest Tubb Record Shop, but it became so big he opened a second one and built this theater and started doing the midnight jamborees here. So when he died, they ended up, you know, closing it down, and somebody else took it over. Still got kind of the same theme, which is great, but what's cool, what's really, really freaking cool, is that right next door where the record shop was, his tour bus is inside here. Ernest Tubb was someone who, he was a big admirer of Jimmie Rodgers, and when Jimmie Rodgers died, he was heartbroken, and he wrote Jimmie's wife and told her that he was a singer and everything, and she invited him to come meet her, and she actually let him play Jimmy's Martin guitar. She liked the way he sang and everything. She said, you sound a lot like Jimmy. If you ever get your own sound, I think you'll really get somewhere. So she started to help him and gave him Jimmy's Martin guitar, which he would use throughout his whole career. Now, he really hit the ground hard, and he did exactly like Roy Acuff, where, you know, when he wasn't at the Ryman doing the show for the night, if he wasn't doing the Grand Ole Opry on Saturday night, he was touring constantly, up and down the road, every single day, and he had a big band, and that entire band lived on his tour bus. They played the shows, they got back on the bus, they played cards, they slept, they smoked, they talked, everything. So in order to stay in the band, you really had to be like a family member, and if you weren't getting along with somebody, you were on the bus with them, you were stuck. So he had, as far as I know, 2 tour buses. Wore out the first one, but they have the second one in here. And a big apology to one of my viewers. When I was here like 2 years ago, he said he could help me get in here, and things just didn't end up working out with our syncing up times and stuff, and I couldn't find his email to contact him to meet me here today. So sorry, man. If you message me again, I'll come back with you for sure. Let's check this place out. Oh baby, I'm gonna have to buy one of these right away. I'm a big Ernest Tubb fan. I love it. He was the king of the Tennessee Waltz. Got all these country costumes, but there is the bus, the Ernest Tubbs Roadshow, baby. Like I said, I mean, this was their life. It wasn't get on the bus and ride to a motel. It was sleep in the Green Hornet. And this is the Green Hornet. Look behind the bar, you can see the whole side of the bus. And he loved to meet fans, so people would always line up outside the bus after the show to get his autograph and things like that. Found several instances where people showed up before the show just wanting to meet him. They'd say they couldn't afford a ticket and he just let them in for free. Wow, look at this place. All right, I've been waiting so long, years to get in here. I can't wait. If you ever have a chance, read up or watch some documentaries on Ernest. He's an interesting guy. Oh, this is so cool, man. Wow. I was gonna say, it probably smells a lot like cigarette smoke, because they used to smoke a lot in here. He said they played a lot of cards. You can see, store all your luggage up there. It even looks like the band members would have put their initials as to where each guy's compartment for stuff was. And then down here they do have some memorabilia of his, different records, signed photos. And of course he had that famous record shop that I've taken us to before, but they closed that down, and I heard the building's gonna be sold, so another piece of Nashville history gone. What's this say? Cows may come and cows may go, but the bull in here goes on forever. All right. This is awesome, man. This is so awesome. Cooking up some vittles in here. Canned beans. Yeah, he was, oh, there you go. You could do demos in here. Lifelong. These guys, they were lifelong performers. Wasn't like, hey, let's go out and make some money and then hang out. It was every day. When they weren't at the Grand Ole Opry, they were on the road. Some of the sleeping quarters. And he was a bad drunk there for a while too, so they said that there came a point where they had to, the band members kind of had to confront him about it. I guess you could call up to the front from here. So Ernest, let's see, where would Ernest have slept? Yeah, they all had their own phone. Hooks for their stuff over here. Don't lay on the bunks, it asks. Oh, this must have been Ernest's spot. Yeah, there's his hat. Some song lyrics in there, it looks like. There's a back door. Yeah, they got it all sealed off. He's got a TV back here. Look at him. Living a little high on the hog, huh? And then here you can see fans. Oh, his mirror was the... Nice, you could see fans right out into the... Would be the lobby here, but... When they rolled into town... That is killer. This place is awesome. That is so cool they have it open. Yeah, this was his. Wow. The boss may not always be right, but he is always the boss. And look up here. That was it, where he could hold his drink, make phone calls. Wow, what an experience. And, like I said, it was free. So, the ACUFF house would have been open. You'd have had two of the most popular, famous country musicians in the history of country music home and closest personal quarters. I mean, I basically consider this as a home, so he lived on it. Hoot Borden drove this beast, the Green Hornet. Tips welcome. Man, the stories about this bus are endless. Can you imagine having to confront your boss on this bus, tell him he's got to quit drinking? Lucky they didn't all get thrown off. I forgot to read this. Look at this. It says the Green Hornet. This is the tour bus of ERNEST TUBB and the Texas Troubadours from 1970 to 79. This 1964 Silver Eagle was originally purchased by Mr. Tubb in 1970 from Trailway Bus Company. It was used by Mr. Tubb and the Texas Troubadours for traveling purposes only. During its years of service, over 3 million miles were logged. It traveled to all 48 continent states as well as Canada. Mr. Tubb retired the bus in '79 and donated it to the ERNEST TUBB record shop for public viewing. It says in 1995 it was restored to its original state and was put permanent display in the ERNEST TUBB record shop here, Music Valley Village, Nashville. So probably what happened was, you know how I told you they all slept on it? They probably did sleep on it a little. The first incarnation that they had before this, that Green Hornet, that one they slept on for sure all the time. As I read stories from the other band members talking about it, but probably by this point, Ernest was probably springing for him to have a little bit of privacy in hotel rooms or motels or something like that. God, cool experience though. Look at all these great outfits. A lot of them are signed too. Oh, look at this back here. Kenny Rogers tour jacket. That's a great one, look at that. Oh, and right where we walked in, they have a little stage here. So they must have musical acts as well as next door. So he had this place, which was the second record store, and then the theater next door. Then we mentioned Porter Wagner earlier. Porter Wagner, so when Roy Acuff would walk in a room, you'd stand up. There's Porter's outfit and Marty Robbins. Porter, of course, had the Porter Wagner show. Dolly Parton. And Marty Robbins, I always see these race cars. I've seen like 2 or 3 of them in different museums. I never understood why. Marty raced them himself. Somebody told me that. They're like, yeah, he raced them. There's Porter. Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. My grandparents went to this. The Roy Clark Celebrity Theater in Branson. They saw Roy Clark there years ago, like in the 90s. This jean jacket up here is signed by, looks like Randy Travis. Another Kenny Rogers tour coat. I very well could find Dale Earnhardt's steering wheel in here if I look hard enough. Tanya. All these clothes are for sale.
Oh, that's gonna be a nice graduation.
This is great. This place is great. Part amazing vintage store with clothing and boots and cowboy hats and all kinds of cool stuff. Part museum, part performance space. This is amazing. Look at all these boots.
Sue Brewer and the birth of outlaw country music. Discover the true untold story of...
Where are you going to find these? Oh, that's cool. They only have one of them, but it's the Ernest Tubb Midnight Jamboree shirt, all faded. You got some really great Ernest Tubb stuff here. Look at that. He opened that record shop in 1947 so that people could get records, get his records. They could go see him and they'd say, "Oh, I love your music so much, but I can't find it anywhere." And he said, "Okay, well, I'll just start shipping it out." White jean jacket, says Lucky. What is this? Country in Our Heart, Georgiana Opera House. Ernest Tubb record shop. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, both of those. Got a Stevie Wonder belt buckle up here, but look at that Kenny Rogers. That's great.
One of the rarest buckles we have.
Anybody need a hairpiece? We got a nice black men's hairpiece right here. Nice comb over for you. And to help you out, they have right beside the entrance an entire library of Ernest Tubb CDs. You can buy 10 bucks a piece. Look at this. Ernest with Loretta Lynn.
I live in Minnesota, so now I come about 3 times.
The Living Legend. Black Fiddle. Look at this jacket. It's all sequined. Welcome, Ernest. Happy to have bought a shirt here. I actually bought your shirt. Alright, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this vlog today. If you're looking for fun, free stuff to do, I hope you enjoyed watching today. And when I mentioned our drive over here, that this place was right behind the Dukes of Hazzard Museum and the Willie Nelson Museum. Dukes of Hazzard Museum, I believe, is still free. It's run by Ben Jones Cooter, and the Willie Nelson Museum, I think, is only $5. So, yeah, have a great time in Nashville. We'll see you next time from somewhere else. Goodbye.